down to Arizona, and that was when we lost a wheel in the plane. And all I can remember of there is that I was told not to leave the train because we were travelling through an area which was German occupied. From people coming over from Germany, they occupied that part of America, and we were told not to leave it. To stay by the aircraft, by the train, because if we went too far, it would be our own fault. Because although we were in America, parts of America, they were anti-British, and parts of America, obviously, they were pro-British. And that particular part was anti-British.
That's interesting.
I don't know if you can remember that, but...
If you contrast, this is interesting in how we varied. Len was on the Aquitania, I was. We were the last people on the Aquitania. We were not pushed down to the bottom of the boat. We never went indoors. We slept on anything that was covered on the Aquitania all the way to America. Now look at the two differences. Len was early on and was pushed down there. We were upstairs. But our sole duty, really, apart from being a passenger, we had to carry the American wounded people that were on the quay side of Goa back onto the Aquitania. And as soon as we got them onto the Aquitania, they took us up, the two GIs would take the stretcher from us, and they took them into what were the wards. Well, we were never allowed anywhere near to go in to see those American troops. And they were all very, very wounded men indeed. And now look at the difference between the two on the same journey. What Len didn't talk about, more than likely, I bet you could remember, we approached America and we were doing about 4 or 5 knots. And everybody was out. And it was that famous skyline that you see nowadays, Statue of Liberty, tall skyscraper, all the rest of it, and a whole harbour of little boats coming out to greet the American wounded, not us, the American wounded. But they wouldn't have heard a word of it, any bit at all, because they were in the wards, and we never saw any of them. But that was a sight I could never forget that. It was absolutely marvellous. But look how different it was. I would sum it up like this. If you watch a darts match on the television, lad on number 1 comes up, picks up his 3 arrows, boom, boom, boom. 180! You know, they carry on. And then the next man would come up, he'd pick up his darts, 60, 140, 180. Now, both those men have got the same target to get 180. Yet just think how different their flights were. And how that was with us. Some did it one way, some did it another way, and yet the target was the same every time along. And it was amazing, particularly with the tests. I remember having a long talk with one of our colleagues, Bill Haylock. Bill followed me one pattern down from the EFTS, the Elementary Flying Training School. Bill didn't do those tests. Now, why we had them, I don't know. Because they were part of a standard test that they used to give their RAF potential officers at Cranwell, which was their staff college. But very few of the people did them. So why did we get picked out? It was just random that we got landed to do it. So right throughout, all our courses were different. And yet, as I say, I've got my record here of where we went, from travelling to volunteer all the way through until I was lucky. I got offered day release at the end of the war. When the war finished, we were in Arizona, of course, when they dropped the 2 bombs on Japan. So that put paid to the war. And our training was done under lease lend. The American government would lend the British government as much money as they wanted to be repaid starting from the finish of the war. So of course that was that, there was the end of that. But the thousands of men had been conscripted for the forces. Now they couldn't let them all go back into Civvy Street all at once, it couldn't be done. So they took the policy, first in, first out. In other words, the people who were first recruited for conscription were the first to be released. Now that started in 1960, 46, 61. They're about, well, look down the 46. That started in January 46. Now it crossed somebody's mind that there was millions of people, these men, all kicking their heels in the army, the navy and the air force, who were skilled bricklayers, door joiners, plumbers, what have you, who were just kicking their heels waiting to get out. Jerry had been knocking us about a bit, and we want some rebuilding doing. So why not let them come out early? They call it Class B release. And if you was down on their records as being a joiner, a bricklayer, what have you, they offered you early release, provided you came back into Civvy Street and stayed at bricklaying or whatever it was, until your normal time of duty came out. Now I was down as an engineering structural draftsman, so they wanted some power station building, and I got out on very good release. And they gave me 4 hours to make my mind up. 4 hours to make my mind up. It was useless. Anyway, never as it was, I went back, and I thought, now then, there's all the RAF pilots who were no longer flying on operations. There was all these pilots who had done the private training and were waiting to get onto operations. There was us that were in the process of training. I thought the chances of us completing our training was negligible. So I said, yes, I'll do it. So I came out on the 1st of January, 46. And to some of our colleagues, and Len was one old man, I'm as envious as I can be. He's got this, oh, you lucky devil. He judged what we'd all been trying to do, get those wings on his shoulder. But I thought, no, there's no future in this, I'll get out. So I was the first of our group of 25 of us, and we've been together, almost totally together, right the way through, all this stuff.
All the way through.
All the way through.
All the way through.
All the way through, right the way through. So it was a part of my life. Well, I've been so grateful that I did it, because as I said earlier on, it was as a result of that training that we did, and particularly to get to be in Park from when we volunteered. That was the hardest bit, because that was the sort of volunteer Eton Park to America to Falcon Field, and then in Len's case onto the flying, to mine back to Civvy Street. But that experience and the work that we did at Salford University when yours was at yes, it put me up for life, it set me up for life, and I've had a very, very miserable life if I'd been still just an ordinary secretary.
Yes.
Yes, it was amazing, and so many of us are so grateful that we did it.
When I went back to England, they asked me, did I want to stay? I said, I want to stay in the RAF, make it my career. So I signed up for 3 years and started training with Bill Haylock. So Bill Haylock being an H, he was on there before I was on. I was a W. And it was nearly a year. What I did do is after about 2 or 3 months, a friend of mine, we went up to London and got a private flying license. So we could fly any type of aircraft other than for not any private aircraft. Now that was actually based on our training in America. But I didn't get my wings until the end of 1946. And when I got my wings, the RAF used to give 2 commissioners for each flight of 30 people. Well, I worked hard, but halfway through, we were joined by a son of a brigadier and the son of an air commodore. Well, I needn't tell you that those people got the commissions. The brigadier's son, well, I think he justified, but the air commodore's son was dreadful. You know, he was 6 foot 7.25. You could hardly get in there. They almost leave him in. Anyway, I got my wings. I was for about a year. All I did was training aircraft, and I got so fed up. I decided to leave. I came back, and in a series of events, I qualified as a solicitor, which is a different story.
Really?
I'm just going to interrupt you, these gentlemen, because I know this is what we just really all want to hear. We have got a couple of other things just to squeeze in, and then we've got lunch. What I'm going to suggest is perhaps that we shorten our lunch hour a little bit and come back a bit earlier for our second session with the pilots, just so we can have some more time talking to them. So I'm going to let you guys have a bit of a break now. So, and then we'll have lunch is going to be at 12:30, and just give you an opportunity to recover. Not that you look like you need any need to recover whatsoever. You're both very sprightly and full of stories, which is great. So I'm going to give you a break now, and we'll just move on to the next bit. Oh, just a minute, we have a question. Hang on. Oh yeah. Well, when did you first meet, you two? This will be interesting. When did you first meet?
Well, we met obviously in America, but the first time I actually met him was in Great Rissington when Hugh Shaw, who's still going, Hugh Shaw used to come over from America once a year. His parents had a place called Gable Cottage in Great Rissington, and we used to go there for a week. To all the people that were at the people that were trained, not the university people, but the other people, and that's when I met Roy. I met him socially, but he wasn't able to come very often because unfortunately his wife wasn't well, and in fact I sent you a USB and it showed you, I recorded a lot of stuff on the video camera, and I got the course 27 reunion, which was in 1995, and from then onwards I got quite a few of the meetings in Great Rissington, and on that USB there's going to be something with Roy, because you obviously came. I joined. When I left the RAF, when I left America, I no longer met any of my people that who were in America. I was always on my own. In fact, I joined a group of people from the Netherlands who were training as pilots, and I joined them, and that's how I got my wings, by joining them. In due course, no doubt, I'm hoping Roy will see the USB, and it may be he may recognise himself. He certainly will recognise quite a few of the people there. We were about 8-10 of us who got every year and joined up. I met Hugh Shaw at Great Rissington, and we used to be there for about a week. And I won't tell you what we used to do.
My wife used to call that the dirty weekend. Because we never took our wives, did we? And we used to meet every year, purely and simply just sit and natter. And I learned more at Gable Cottage about what these lot have been up to, and I was living with them. And yet, we were all talking about things which we never talked about while we were in Arizona. Things that we shouldn't have done, that we did do. Or we didn't talk about it.
Len was just talking about a video that he found, and he's had it put onto a stick, which he's given to me, and I've copied it and given it to Alistair, who maintains our YouTube channel. So that it is actually with us today. If there was enough time, you could watch it now. You're certainly on it, Roy. But we'll get it up onto the YouTube channel as soon as we possibly can, and then you can have a look at that as well. Both of you two can too. So I'm going to pause you there. Can you thank these gentlemen for what they've done so far?